What's up, everybody? Welcome. This is the FatherHood podcast, and yours truly, Adrian JB Homer. This podcast is about real fathers, real stories, and real struggles. We talk with men who grew up in tough environments, fathers who came from the streets, and families with immigrant roots who are now building new lives in Canada and across North America. And again, I'm Adrian JB Homer, and thank you for tuning in. This is Ep.6. We've come a long way, you know what I'm saying? It was a slow start. It took me a while to even build up, I guess, the courage to do this. This is very vulnerable for me, talking about my own experiences of being a father and things that I'm trying to do in my life to make myself better, to correct the past, the wrong things that I felt I did in the past, and become a better father and man now for my children, setting the great example so that they could carry forth even better parenting in the future for their kids, my grandkids, and so forth. And it's some form of therapy for me, just being able to talk about all the situations I may be going through. For those who don't know me, I've been an entertainer most of my life here in Toronto, Canada, and I have 7 children. And things ain't always perfect, and I'm just learning as I go, learning to be a better man and be more present for my children. But yeah, this is the FatherHood podcast. And shout out to all the fathers and all the parents, all the mothers everywhere, all over the world who's tuning in. I appreciate your time listening to my story. And if this could help you in any way, I'm happy that it can. And I'm blessed that, that I could be a part of your journey if this in any way helps to do anything in your life as well. We got a bunch of different topics and stuff, and we've been going through these topics for the last 5 episodes. Now this is the 6th. We're still on the main topic of the absence of a father and how the past influences future parenting. And today we're going to be talking about the fatherhood responsibility complex and becoming what you missed. And we'll get into that in a little bit. And I have some more questions for all the parents out there. You could ask yourself, you could have conversations with people around you and see how you feel about some of the things that we're talking about today. But yeah, I'll just go into some stories. Last episode, I was talking about trying to get my son for his birthday, since his birthday falls on a weekend that I don't have him for a court scheduled visit, and that his mother is pretty stern on those rules about making sure that everything is on whatever is on this court order. So what things can we do to help these things feel better for everybody involved? Like, my son obviously wants to be around all of his other brothers and sister. He wants to be able to celebrate with us. I know, he really enjoys it, but he can't tell his mother to make him, do whatever, and I can't either. So we got to figure different things out so that it doesn't become a problem or an argument that will cause more issues and just a worse experience altogether. So just to kind of keep it light, first off, what I'm doing for my kids, I'm explaining to them some of the things that are happening so that they never have to wonder or assume that I may not care. So I'll tell him that his mother is not, allowing us to see each other on his birthday since it falls on the off week that is not our weekend together. And this weekend just happens to be Easter weekend, and she, has it in a clause where she gets him on all holidays, which is crazy to me. So on the holidays, I only get him for literally 4 hours, 4 hours. So that's the amount of time for me to pick him up, come back to my place or wherever we're deciding to go, do what we're going to do for a couple hours, and then bring him back. That's Christmas. It's Easter, obviously. Now we're here. And it's a little rough. and it's challenging. So we got to come with creative ways to try and offset that and still make an amazing, memorable experience for the kids, for myself, and just make sure that we're all positive and it's not letting these little things kind of hinder all the great times that we could still have. So I'm planning to pick them up, and with my 4 hour span, what I've had to do in the last couple of years, and I'm planning on doing it again because the kids seem to really like it. The older kids are getting older now, like not the ones in their 20s, but the older teenagers are getting a little bit older. But I still see they like things like trick or treating and some Easter egg hunt. That's what we're gonna do. So I usually, get a bunch of Easter eggs, chocolates, whatever. Um, Pack them all up in the plastic Easter eggs, gold, this, that, whatever, a bunch of them. And then me and my brother's kids. I invite my brother, his kids come with my kids. I apologize, and then we do a big Easter hunt. I remember doing this from a child, so that's why it's special to me because my aunt Liz used to do this for us before she moved away to Quebec, and we never really seen her again since then with her new family and her husband, and God bless them. But yeah, so I remember this as a kid growing up. Easter egg hunt on Easter, we run around the house looking for Easter eggs, and you get so excited. You get all the chocolates and whatever other things you could find, like toys sometimes, or maybe little trinkly things, whatever. But for me, we just do the chocolates, maybe some candies or something in the Easter eggs, and then a few gold eggs that are special. You might get bit better things in there or something. So gives them incentive to run around and go look for that. So I was planning to go pick them up and, go try to see if my brother, well, I should have organized this a little earlier. Hopefully he remembers, but I'll let him know. And see if the kids, we'll all do it in the morning after I get him, and then bring him home. And then later on that day, I guess me and the kids, it's Easter weekend, so we'll go visit some family and go eat some dinner or something. And wait for him for the next couple weeks until we could actually celebrate his birthday. And then it'll be after his birthday, so we still want him to make it feel like a special. So, we'll just hype it up and make sure that he knows that he was thought of and get the things that he wants and just try and make him have the best time possible. Yeah, but so we'll see how that goes. And, lots of other things going on in the world right now. Gas prices are crazy. It's more strain on your pocket. And you got to kind of figure out different things if you're on a tight budget. Sometimes those extra costs, I was like, damn, like it almost cost me 20, like it's just way more expensive to drive, and you got to figure things out and still be able to do the things that you want to do for your family, for your kids. So sometimes we got to hustle a little harder, grind more, you know what I'm saying, and just make those extras. So blessings to everybody out there that's feeling it, and shout out to all the fathers across the world again that's doing their best, trying to, as my son said in a meeting one day with me and one of my business partners, he said, I'm trying to abolish male toxic masculinity and change the mind frame for the new men going forward, because what we knew in the past was mad toxic, and we trying to be better people now. So here I am trying to be a better person and change the ways that I knew from the past, be a better father, and just deal with all this stuff I got to deal with now. It's getting, I got court coming up, and fro on my ass. No pause for that. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't talk about an afro. Got fro on my ass, so I'm just trying to figure things out and get things back into a nice smooth flow, so that me and the kids and we could just live the best quality of life possible, stress free, and everybody is happy, which it is always anyways. You never really let the kids know none of that stuff, but things could get deep, things could get really hard, but just try your best to stay positive and just remember that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. You just gotta keep on moving, and just keep on working towards it. And one thing that I learn in life is that whatever will be. Everything is written. Anything that we're trying to even think about doing, that was already written that we're going to do that. So the way that whatever way we get there, is a part of the journey. What we're destined for is that destiny, and that's already written. So all I could do is stay positive, keep my heart clean, and do the best that I can. And that's what I'm going to continue to do for my kids. And shout out to all my children if any of them ever watch this. I doubt it, but shout out to all my kids. I love all you guys with all my heart. Proud of all of you. But yeah, let's try get into some of these topics now. So what we're talking about again is absence of a father, how the past influences future parenting. And we're on Ep.6. So this episode is the fatherhood responsibility complex. Becoming what you missed. So the first question we could get into is how do men who grew up without fathers perceive their role as fathers? So how do men who grew up without fathers perceive their role as fathers? And maybe sometimes some men try to prove a point to be a better father than what they had, or obviously the natural thing will be emulating what and sometimes that could be toxic and not the right thing, because maybe if you weren't parented correctly, which that's subject to everybody's different lives, but depending on the way you were parented, then that may reflect that. But there may be other men in your life if you didn't have a father, maybe big bros, and maybe just people that you admire. And sometimes the way I think I perceive my role of a father, because I was a young child that didn't really see my parents as much as maybe I thought I did, because they were young parents as well. I think I found most of my outlook or my perception of fatherhood from television, from the Cosby Show, or the facts of not even facts. What was that? Growing Pains, and what was the next one? Who's the Boss? Where you see all these figures, men and women, taking care of children, and the lives that they're living that would seemingly be kind of similar to what you think that your life may be. Obviously, they might be in a bigger house, but a lot of them kind of stayed true to the culture and what was authentic. And I remember watching those shows a lot, like just TV a lot, Flintstones. You know what I'm saying? So you're even watching Looney Tunes, and it's showing you how to react and stuff. So a lot of people, surprisingly, may have learned or found out how to be a father when they became one by their past experience of watching other fathers. Sometimes it may have been on TV, and hopefully it's from guidance from other strong men that were fathering actual people. But that's what I think, because so I find myself, when I looked at myself as a father, some of it obviously is just from things that we see around us directly, like other people's parents, if you didn't grow up with a father in your home every day with you. But I did have my other brothers and stuff, my other brothers and sisters' father in there. So I wouldn't even say that my mom wasn't married. So it was, but he was there for a long time. But I don't remember ways that or anything that he would do even to his own kids, because I was probably out of the house by then. By the time my brothers were a little bit older, like by the time they're 3 4 years old, they're probably out of there. So I don't even remember seeing him the way he fathered, but I remember his parents when I was a young child that my mother first got with him, and seeing like his mother, cook all the time, and you know the living room. I remember sitting in the living room a lot, watching TV with his father, and just seeing that kind of dynamic, which is a pretty normal one in the West Indian family. Um, there's somebody, drinking and cooking food and laughter and cussing, and there's just a lot of things going on. I remember that was in a place called Bay Mills when my mom moved us from Flemo there because she just got with him, and then she had her other kids, and then things changed. But so I remember those little things. So those aspects of like when I perceive my role of a father, I perceive it as strength, um, guidance, and knowledgeable enough to be able to teach my kids. Sometimes where they're learning stuff in school, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't even go to school that long. I'm proud to teach me something. Teach me what you learning in school, so I know more. But guidance and knowledge, I could teach them in other ways and in life, and guide them to be the best that they could be. But yeah, I don't know how. What do you think about that question? And again, the question was, how do men who grew up without fathers perceive their role as fathers? So again, it may be something where they're trying to prove that they could be better than what they didn't know or what they wanted to have for themselves, and they could sometimes make up for things that they hadn't experienced as a child without a father, and they could experience those things with their kids, and it might just bring you some of the same type of joy as a memory if you were to do it with their father, who you weren't around back then. So there's a lot of different ways you could look at it, but yeah, it's interesting. There's another question. What fears and challenges arise along this path, and how can they fill this gap? So how can fathers fill this gap? So what fears and challenges arise? So me personally, fears and challenges that arose along my path of being a father, and how I chose to try and fill those gaps. So the fears and challenges were mainly financial and time. So the challenges was because I was so young. Maybe a challenge for me was being able to dedicate the time that I was trying to use for myself to still become something and still grow, and actually focus it on my children for their growth and for things that they could have done. Maybe they missed out on a lot of things that they could have done. That if I was an older parent that already experienced things, is already kind of in a different place in life, that I would have been able to focus more on them and give them more and dedicate more time for them. But everything in life happens for a reason, and hopefully they had a great childhood, and one day we'll sit down and talk, and they could tell me truthfully, how they feel about being raised by me and me as a father. And then another challenge was financial, because you see everything, and like I said, you're seeing everything on television. You're seeing your other people's parents, and now you're a parent, and you may be young, or even if you're not, financial challenges always are there, just depending on what kind of situation you're in. And if you're not in a situation that's financial, if you're not in a challenge, then that's amazing. But sometimes life changes and things happen that you'll never see. It just blindsides you, and then it changes everything that you thought you knew. So, yeah, financial for me was a challenge, just making sure, because I had a lot of kids, making sure they all had everything they needed and still being able to be, I guess, manly enough for the woman to think that I'm worthy of being that man figure in their life or in her life at the same time, if it was their mothers, if I was with them or not. And trying to be an entertainer and do all the things that I was passionate about doing. So it was a challenge because I had to sacrifice either this or that. And there's a lot of things that I couldn't do that I had opportunities to do because I had to make sure that I took care of my family as well. So I guess on both sides, and just especially when you're young and you're coming up, and this is different for everybody, but those are my personal experiences with that. And I kind of had to choose. And another thing that I'll just speak on now is how I could fill that gap. Now, how did I fill that gap? So, like I was mentioning just a second ago, I had to decide what was important and realistic for me in my life, and how to assess things so that I could continue to continue to take care of my children and still do the things that I wanted to do if there were entrepreneurial, uh, and it wasn't guaranteed. There are risks, and I had to make decisions to make sure that I dedicated most of everything to making sure that my family, my children were always safe and good, and there was always food, no matter what. And yeah, just trying to do my best to make sure that I was consistent, and at least they have a good quality of life or a good life, and didn't have to feel like they were lacking in anything. And I hope that my kids think, my children think that they had a good life, or communicate, tell me what I could have did better. I still got young kids now, so I'm still actively parenting, and from my youngest being 10, turning 10, I still get to see the different levels of, well, not even levels, but I just get to see just the different age groups and how they feel different ways. Some of my elder kids, they care about certain things. The teenagers care about other things, and then the youngest, there's no real care in the world, just time and attention. That's more valuable than anything to him. And so when he's around, I find myself, I shut down everything else. I used to answer my phone all the time. I used to go do whatever I had to do, leave and this and that, here, having kids with me. And now I shut down everything. And when I have my kids, I'm focused fully on them. And we just absorb all the time that we can with each other. We sit, we chill, we laugh, we play, and these moments we'll never get again. So that's what I learned. That's how I filled the gap, is making sure I was more dedicated to spend the time with the people that matter to me, my kids, and trying to just be consistent with that. Yeah, they were talking about some stuff about men, and man, I think I erased the post. Yeah, I was looking for this post. Just wanted to read it to y'all. yeah, we'll get into that another time. 12:20, 12:26 a.m. in Toronto, Canada. And this is a live podcast. I don't do any editing or nothing like that right now. We're gonna get into the different streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple, wherever they're playing podcasts, and we'll get in. We'll have all that stuff available in the next few episodes. We're just warming up right now, just getting everything kind of tight, making sure that it flows good. And we're gonna be having a lot of guests, a lot of different sponsors, and other speakers, and just things that could help fathers. Um, I am offering, ad placements, and for people that want to sponsor the show, that may have a business or something that may be able to help parents, fathers, and all different kinds of things. It could be anything. I'm saying that has to do with parenting, fathers, health, finance, legal, and wellness. So, the Fatherhood podcast is a platform dedicated to real conversations and solutions for fathers navigating through parenting and co-parenting, mental health and identity, financial pressure, and personal growth. Our mission is to provide guidance, support, and resources that help fathers show up stronger for their families. And I'm hoping that there's people out there that could connect with us and help some of the fathers, parents out there, even myself, man. I need help. Trying to stay focused. It's hard staying focused sometimes. Your mind's going on a million things. You got all these different responsibilities and things going, and you gotta deal with court or try to change things and live up to certain expectations. It's hard. The thing that I was trying to find on my phone earlier, when I just kind of paused for a second, it was just basically talking about the type of men that don't celebrate their own birthday, and some of the reasons why, and some of the things that reflect from that in their personality. But we'll get into that another time. Let's talk about that when I find that, maybe in the next episode. I'm gonna go get into a couple other questions though. So, we're going to talk about community and support in these questions here. So these are things that you could, answer for yourself too. You could talk with people, ask your dad. And one of the first questions is, why do you think fatherhood conversations are important in communities that grew up around struggle? So I think it's important in communities that grew up around struggle, because the guidance is necessary for the kids to not make the wrong decisions growing up. They may be around the wrong people, the wrong influences, and they need guidance. So without fathers, and with the conversations why they're so important, is so that we could avoid unnecessary problems from our precious children that will grow up, and then we don't want them in bad communities. A lot of things could happen. They need things. They see fast life. They see cool things that may appear to be like that to them, and then it's gangster stuff, or it's bad things. It's for both men and women, for boys and girls. And we hope that we continue the conversation to strengthen fathers and communities, so that they can continue to guide the kids to do different things, make different choices, and have a better quality of life moving forward, because they are being guided and not led into the wrong situations. We've seen this time and time again, and that's probably one of the reasons why they started Big Brother clubs and all that type of stuff, to help guide the youth so that they don't make the same mistakes that we've seen before, and keep those conversations strong so that we feel prideful. And then there used to be where a community parents the children. So regardless if it was your parent or not, if somebody's seen you outside doing something wrong you ain't supposed to do, somebody's going to check you for that, and they're going to tell you that you're not doing right. And when they see your parents, they're going to let them know as well. And I don't think we have that much of that anymore. But that's basically a community raises the child. Or they used to say the village raises the child, right? Because everybody in there is involved. We watch out for each other's kids. That's just what people do with good hearts. And there's no more of that. So it's very important that the conversations in community, that fatherhood conversations continue in communities that grew up around struggle. Another question, and then remember, these are just my answers, just top of the head. I'm flowing. I ain't reading no scripts, and my own experiences. And I'm knowing in any way, and I'm not in any way an expert. And these are just things that I'm just kind of sharing with y'all, whoever chooses to listen, so that we could all learn and become better for ourselves, because the best version of ourselves is better for everybody else. Another question is, who helped guide you toward becoming a better father? I would say just kind of influences, seeing friends, colleagues, family that are fathers, seeing how they interact with their kids, with their family, kind of picking up different things from different people. Again, like TV, different things like that. So I would say the community, because if it's multiple people, it was no one person in particular in my mind. So I'll say the community helped me become a better father. And how can communities better support fathers trying to turn their lives around? So this is important because a lot of people kind of put a permanent stain on people where it's you're like that and that's the way you are for life. And that's not fact, because everybody has the ability to change and become a better person. So to support fathers trying to turn their lives around, we need to believe them and to give them the ability to be looked at in a different light, not to be seen as the same person that they were seen as when they were younger or in not the best time of their life. And maybe vice versa. But communities could better support fathers by maybe having more meetings, more group meetings. It could be in a library. It could be community center. It could even just be, a bunch of friends at somebody's house that know that there's maybe some fathers having challenges, so many challenges. It's relationship, with finance, with mental health. So there's all those ways that we could find a community within our circle with some people that we care about, or reaching out to a group and joining it, overcoming that obstacle and finding that community, or more what we're talking about is let's help create that. And I'm sure there's lots of good ones out there. So if there are any out there, again, please reach out so we could help advocate and have better resources for fathers or parents trying to become different and overcome obstacles and be the best parents they could be. So I guess one of the things that we could do as a community to better support fathers trying to turn their lives around is try to create more programs and groups that they could join, so that these fathers could learn and be guided and gain more knowledge from other people so that they could apply to their own life. Another question is, What role do mentors play for young boys and or girls who don't have father figures? I guess they're playing a temporary role of that kind of parent figure, guiding them, hopefully only for the right, and not misguiding them or manipulating them. Because it's a mentor, it could be family, it could be not family. Some people just find a mentor and a teacher and somebody that they know and wherever in the community or whatever it might be, a guidance counselor or something. But it's an important role because you'll remember that as you get older, and the kids will remember that as they get older. What role or what mentor they had that taught them how to do something or encouraged them to believe in themselves. So it's just important, and it's necessary. And I think we all kind of find those people in teachers as we're going through school, getting older, and just maybe in family members that we see every once in a while, that uncle, that aunt that takes us to the side, that believes in us and is always there for us to show support and understands what we're trying to do and seems to get it. And we don't feel like, not embarrassed, but we don't feel, you don't feel like, young kids don't want to tell older people about things they want to do because they think they don't understand it, they won't get it, right? And sometimes we get it, man. We've been through it as well, so we can encourage and really be excited for the next chapter of their life and what they want to do. And but yeah, hopefully mentors are doing that too, and that's what they should be doing. That's what I would do. And another question is, what message do you have for other fathers listening right now? Well, my message is do your best, stay positive, and remember that your kids are the most important thing in the world and you would do anything in the world for them. So never let anything else deter you from that mission or make you feel otherwise. And remember, anything that you have to give and you may feel forced to, or it may be hard for you to earn it to be able to give it, but remember that it's for that precious next version of you. You created that. That is part of your DNA. That's your mini me. That's your offspring. So remember, you would do anything in the world for them. So don't let that deter you, and continue to push and be the best person you could be, and stay positive, enlightened, and stay healthy. Health is wealth. It's crazy out here. Health is wealth. Stay healthy as you can and teach that to your kids as well. Maybe there's another question here we could get into that we haven't talked about yet. I think that's it for the questions. There's another one here actually. Reflection and wisdom. What is the most important what is the most important lesson that fatherhood has taught you? Up to date, if I was to think about it off the top of my head, the most important lesson that fatherhood has taught me is be patient and loving. That came right off the top. I didn't even think about that. For me. And another question is, if you could give your younger self advice before becoming a father, what would it be? Honestly, because I love all my kids and I had them young, I don't regret any of my kids. None of them were mistakes. I would say try to be as secure as possible so that your experience is filled with positive experiences, and then you could do more and be more focused. Yeah, some people will probably say, "Oh, don't have kids yet, this and that, this and that." But no, I love my kids so much, and I love the experience. My life is a movie, and every part of it was amazing. Even in the times where I may not have had as much as I wanted to have, I had more than others. And you always got to remember, no matter how bad your life or things may seem for you, there's always someone else going through much worse that will make your situation look like a dream. So I would just say, be more stable, stability, and spend more time with your kids. That's probably what I would say. What would you say? The question again was, if you could give your younger self advice before becoming a father, what would it be? So yeah, that's what I would do. But another question is, what do you hope your children will say about you when they grow up? I hope that they say that I was a good man or a great man, and that they learned something from me, and I instilled some kind of value or something for their lives, for them to be able to to carry forward. And another question is, what does success as a father look like to you? They say a successful parent is judged, or is a successful parent is when your kid grows up to be an amazing human being. And I hope that I could, or not hope, but I know I made some amazing human beings. 7 of them. And I hope that you find that type of value in your children as well. But that's what success as a father looks like to me, is raising amazing human beings, much better than me. When people see my son, some of my kids look like me. So when people see my eldest son, they say, "They look like your twin." I said, "No, he's the better version of me." Because I'm teaching him all the things that I couldn't do, that I didn't do, that I know I should have done. And I hope that he does far more than I ever done in my life. And I'm here to support him. And all of my kids the same way. So another question is, at the end of the day, what does family mean to you? Family is the light. Family is love. When you love your family, it's a feeling I can't even explain. When I see my family, I love every single one of them. Every single one of them. And I got a big family. I probably got a couple hundred cousins in Toronto alone. That's on my Jamaican side. And on my Trini side, I got a big family as well. And I love seeing every single one of them. It brings amazing, like immense joy in my heart when I see new kids being born from the family. Sometimes it'll be you just see everybody in the summer. We have big family barbecues, And sometimes it would be like 8 new babies or something, like, you know what I'm saying? Whose baby is this? Whose baby is this? Oh, it's amazing because you see all the little faces. They all look like your baby because we're all family. We all, look similar. It's all, we're sharing the same DNA. So it's an amazing thing to see my family, every single one of them. Sometimes we don't get along with each other. So a couple of people, there's a lot of people to get along with. You're not gonna get along with everybody. You know what I'm saying? A lot of different personalities in that, and they're all mixed from their different side. I have to tell people, say, "Oh, I remember that you're your father's son, or you're your mother's, son or daughter," because that's the side that ain't from the blood. So they're carrying different traits too. But for the most part, love seeing all of my family, and it just brings amazing joy to me every time I see them. An aunt, uncle, cousin, whoever it is. It's always an amazing feeling. So family means to me, what family means to me is life. It's love. It's the light, and it's the foundation for my existence. So that's what it means to me. But yeah, we're just remember there are lots of things. Big up all the fathers again. Lots of things we're gonna talk about. And thank you for listening to all of this. This is episode 6, and we're gonna be having some people sit down with me and talk with me soon. Get some different perspectives from different entertainers, professionals, regular people, mothers, different people about different perspectives of fatherhood and how it's perceived from different people, and get other people's opinions, insights, and remember that you could always reach out, personal coaching. You need help trying to figure things out, someone to talk to. In no way a professional or a therapist or nothing like that, but I'm always here to help guide you through finding the right resources to help you in your situations, whatever you're going through. And this is, again, a journey for me as well. So as I learn, we'll share information, and we help to teach those who don't know how to deal with some of the things they may be going through. Family court, separation, support, a lot of different things to deal with in life. So I'm here to help any way I can, and I hope this has helped you. And thank you again for listening. This is episode 6 of the FatherHood podcast, and I am yours truly, Adrian J.B. Homer. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this, and look out for episode 7 dropping soon. Thanks again. This is the FatherHood podcast. Peace.